Nobody's listening anyway podcast. What's it about? Well, let's talk about it. First thing I want to talk about is Ryan Miller and all these guys retiring. It is crazy to me as a kid that grew up in early 2000s, like being a teenager and seeing Ryan Miller and the Olympics. And if you love hockey, that's your guy, right? Like, who do we have? Who do we have as an American goalie? We don't have Patrick Waugh. We don't have Marty Brodeur. We don't have Dominic Hasek for the Eastern European front. Like, America has not really had like that guy. Mike Richter was very good. I'm not going to take anything away from Mike Richter. He is a very good goaltender. But I'm saying technically in the evolution of the game in the early 2000s, that goaltending, those forwards, those guys, like Eric Lindros was dominant. He was actually towards the end of his career at that point. But if you look at it, like, let's see, Jason Spezza, Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, Steve Eisman, Joe Sakic, guys like that were still around at the time where Ryan Miller was a young goaltender. Not forget Crosby, pretty good forward. Ovechkin was shooting for his team. It was Team Russia. I think at that point it wasn't like North America or Europe or what they do with the. Trying to think which. I think it was like North America. There's a certain format for it. I'd have to bring up the stats. This is why the podcast has to grow, and I need to start getting guys to get the stat work. Like, just pull it up, That'd be cool. But I remember there was a format where they had all these different guys playing for different teams. Like Pasternak, for instance, I think he is from Finland, and then played for another country. Many players have done this. I'm just using that as an example that it's been done before. But Ovechkin played with Team Russia, and Crosby's with Team Canada. Now, Russia was very good because they had Malkin, don't forget. Same draft class, I believe, between Malkin and Ovechkin, which was, come on. Like, those 2 years, 03, 04, I think it was the best draft years for hockey. Like, 03, 04, like, studs, like, all around. Like, you can't believe. So it's really interesting to see. That's who Ryan Miller's facing as like an American goalie. Like, yeah, America has good, like systems and like good development camps for American hockey players, but not at that time. Not so much. 03, 04, we were producing guys, but it was like Minnesota. You had Parise, Okposo, Ryan Suter, the list would go on over there. Derek Stepan, like how many guys came out of the Shattuck St. Mary school that were absolute, like, you can't believe NHLers that had long careers and things like that. So this is what Miller is facing on a nightly basis on a team Buffalo Sabres. Remember Dominic Hasek, how he was so good, the dominator, and then he finally goes to Detroit and he wins the Stanley Cups. Now, similarly, this happened for Ryan Miller, but we're not expecting that because Ryan Miller is so damn good and such like I don't know, like he's like the Derek Jeter of what the Sabres are, and he was that to them. So losing him, I don't think people realize, like, after, Pominville, Tyler Ennis was very good, very underrated. No one talks about Tyler Ennis, how good he was. His skill level, unreal. So no one talks about that as much, that they had Pominville, Vanek, Shatan, Tim Connolly, guys like that with the Islander trade, Tim Connolly going over to Buffalo, things like that. McCabe went there. Or McCabe might have went somewhere else. But still saying that, like, all these guys left, and it seemed like it meant a lot at the time, but not as much, where if Miller left, per se, like, at a certain pivotal time, let's say Miller got traded in 2007, the best year of his career almost, I would say, he was unreal. He was lights out. I thought that team, the 07 or the 06 even, Buffalo Sabres with Briere, Drury, and all these different names where you're like, they can win it. They're a lockdown. Tallinder was, this guy was a tower. Henrik Tallinder was solid. They had very good players there. So why didn't they do it? Things like that. I would put it all to say that losing Miller would be your biggest thing and hardest thing to recover from. And it was. And it showed. And it's still going on today. How many goalies have they had? God knows how many, right? Henrik Lundqvist, after he leaves at a time where, okay, we groomed guys and things like that, they never did that in Buffalo. They never thought about that. I mean, you have 3, maybe 4 prospect goalies with Shesterkin, Georgiev. Skapski's gone, but he was good. There was a lot of good guys in that system. They have a couple, I think, other Swedish goaltenders in line of New York and for Madison Square Garden's sake. They have a lot of goalies there. Miller was just like one guy carrying this team. He played a lot of games. He played, I would say, a good comparable to what he was to the organization is what Evgeny Nabokov was to San Jose. That guy played like 60, 70 games. There was no backup. At that time, there was no middle relief pitcher or anything like that. Kind of like, to use that term, that baseball term, there was none of that. There was no setup guy. It was just like, go out there, play 60 minutes, and if we have to play onwards, then you're still our guy. So he would play 60, 70 games a year. So it's very crazy to see how powerful this team is and, how powerful they can be. And then they just see this one guy in net, just steady as can be every single year. Excuse me one moment. Okay, sorry. Podcast interruption, sorry. So, here it is, man. Tallinder and all these guys, they're great. But this guy is so steady in the back end and just stopping everything. I mean, stops that you can't imagine. Like, across the crease kind of saves, shutting the door when he needs to, one-on-one battles. Ryan Miller is, like, an American icon. I can't say enough about this guy. I was a big fan. I'm a little biased about it because I grew up as, like, a huge Miller fan. Goaltending was always my, like, focus on position in hockey. I love goalies. They're mental cases, some of them. Like, I remember Rask breaking his stick, flipping out. I love that because he's competitive. He wants to win, and that's what a goalie is. You control the fate of that game. Billy Smith, as an Islander fan, for me, was the biggest guy. That guy, unreal. Unreal. That temperament that he had, that drive he had. That's why they won 19 straight playoff series. You understand that that's all goaltending right there. Yeah, it's your defense and that's your offense and things like that. Certain things have to click. Your goaltending, as far as winning goes, who gets you the wins? Miller is a very winning goaltender and a very good goaltender on very, very poor teams defensively, and he still made that happen. 06-07, they had very good defense. Now they started losing pieces. Things went on. Guys left the room. Like I was saying, like Afanaganov, super talented. Guys left. They went back home. Things happened. So everyone kind of dispersed. One thing remained, Ryan Miller, kind of like the Lundqvist situation. He always remained. Or Hasek, they always remained. And then they said, this has got to stop because now we got to go in a different future and we can get some assets for these guys. So they're getting older. Ryan Miller's getting a little bit older. Let's go for the cup now. Now let's I want to go for the cup. Buffalo's nowhere near it. So I think he goes to St. Louis right after. I think that was his first stop. Goes there. I think he was with Halak, if I'm not mistaken. It was him and Halak that same year because St. Louis, another team, kind of like the Sabres. Funny that he goes there. It's still blue and yellow, the color association, things like that. But Buffalo to, St. Louis, it was not a big change for him. I mean, you had David Backes as, I think, your captain at that time. Jay Bouwmeester's there. Peter Angelo's there. I believe Shattenkirk was there. I'm not sure if he was still there at that time or if he was already traded out. But regardless, holy crap. St. Louis is stacked. They're very, very good. And he has a chance again. And then he does not get that same result that he was hoping for, or a different result that he was hoping for, to win the Stanley Cup. So he has to bite his tongue again. And I'm saying, this guy is unreal. This is a crime for him not to win right now. And he's going to Olympics and things like that. And, Sochi 2010, I think it was. Holy crap. Ryan Miller was. That's what, like they talk about like TJ Oshie and that Olympic shootout winner and things like that. Ryan Miller had that every game against very good guys, very good defensemen. I think Niedermeyer was there. I'm not sure at that time, but they were these guys, the talented hockey players that Ryan Miller was going against, and just turning aside with the paddle, glove save, everything. Mind-boggling how good this guy is. Super talented, and just hockey IQ through the roof. So it's very cool to see a goaltender of that caliber be that dominant for that long. And I'm kind of just taking you through this journey because I was going through that journey too, with him as a fan, And it's fun to talk about that because what he experienced, what he went through, and yeah, he didn't get the cup, but he got, I think, a silver medal. And he didn't really, he won trophies and things like that throughout the league, and he's got his, however many, I think he's played, I don't know how many games he's actually played. Anyways, he is a very, stats and things like that. I can't pull up his stats right now, but if you pull it up and you look at it, you'll be where I'm at as far as where I'm feeling about this now closure of Ryan Miller's, final games and him retiring. It's very big. It's, people are like, oh, maybe people don't think of it as a big deal. Nick Lindstrom, when he retired, people made a big deal. Guys retired. Teemu Selanne, we made a big deal because Teemu Selanne, one of the most electric forwards in the NHL. Goalies get that recognition, but I'm just hoping that, Luongo, that's another guy that was on the other side of it. Luongo was right there with Ryan Miller on the same journey, just doing other things, and he was this close to being the Boston Bruins. This close to being the Boston Bruins in 2011. Great Stanley Cup. To me, one of the best. 2007 was exactly like that for Ryan Miller. Thought this kid was going to do it. I thought, oh, wow. Actually, I was a kid at the time, too, so I can't say kid. But this man, Ryan Miller, is going for the Stanley Cup. Young Ryan Miller, 2007, it's right there in front of him. Roberto Luongo was still pretty young when he was going for it in 2011. But wow, these goaltenders they changed the game forever, and they changed the style of goaltending. They changed the way we look at goaltenders today, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate all that they did for the league and all that they did for hockey. And if you're not a Ryan Miller fan, I hope you are now because of this video, because that's what I'm trying to present here to you guys, is that hockey is amazing. And, you want to look at the Derek Jeters of hockey. Ryan Miller, so to speak, is that guy. Now, a little bit of the funnier side, the goofier side, would be Luongo. And those two goalies, to me, those two personalities, through the roof. Best people in hockey. Great people on and off the ice. And I think those are great ambassadors for the game and for goaltenders around and young goaltenders to be in the league. You should follow guys like that and look at guys like that. Look at their careers. And if you have to go to the bathroom, say something. Roberto Luongo did. And he came out and he still finished that playoff game. Look that up. That's a great thing. I had situations like that where I was like, all right, puck drop. Oh, I got to go to the bathroom. Yeah. Literally, in the middle of the game. Roberto Luongo did that in a playoff game in the NHL. Incredible. That's funny moments. Those are laughable moments. And the goalie in relief made a couple of great saves. So, people take advantage of opportunities and things like that. Just the way it works. But that's hockey. So, I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy Nobody's Listening podcast. So, that's all I got for today, and hopefully there's much more to follow. Peace.